Well, I hope you had a great morning, afternoon, day, wherever this video finds you. What I'm probably sure of is it's been a better season than I've had this morning. In fact, today I woke up and I never imagined having to do this video, but here we are. See, this morning I woke up with a text message that you probably never want to receive. I woke up this morning and I was notified that I had been exposed to COVID. And I'm grateful for the notification. I'm grateful for the friendship. But again, that didn't start my day the way that I wanted it to. And then a little bit later on throughout the day, I was getting text messages from other people that I knew that had been tested and tested positive. In fact, I got a text message from one of my kids' soccer team that just said, hey, both of us, both the parents had tested positive and they were going to be out. And so I'm hearing it from there and I'm hearing it from here. And as a church, we always want to do what's responsible and what we feel we're supposed to do, the right thing, not necessarily what we want to do. And so I started making phone calls and discussing it with people. And I called a nurse, friend of mine, and she updated me on the hospital situation. And in her words, it's devastating. She described some young children that are in the COVID situation. She described the work hours, and because of now nurses and doctors becoming sick, the situation that is at hand in our current hospital is not good. And I wanted to verify that. I wanted to make sure that, everything was like I had experienced it. Sometimes there's somebody's personal experience, but then there's the, bigger experience. And so I'm grateful. I called the CEO of TJ Sampson and just asked him, hey, what's going on? Can you tell me some information? And obviously there's certain things he can't share, but he was very gracious and let me know that it was as bad, if not worse, than what they had shared with me earlier. In fact, I asked him if I could quote him, and he said yes, that they were averaging about 6 to 7 people in the hospitals a day early on, and now they're at 24 plus. That he's not sure what happened. He speculated that maybe it was fall break or kids are back in school. And so there's this kind of big clusters of sharing that's going on. He wasn't sure, but he said, Nick, something happened. Because if you remember, right, like it was in March that we were supposed to get this big pandemic and it was supposed to wave through here. And it was just kind of like it skipped us, right? Like it hit Louisville, it hit New York, it hit Nashville, but it was like 1, 2, skip a few. It never showed up. But I want to let you know that it's here now. And talking with him about what we can do, how as a church we can partner. See, as a church, we love the city. We're for the city. We always want to do what's best for the city and for others. We want to be a blessing, not a burden. We discussed this concept that maybe you remember from several months ago called flatten the curve. In fact, if you remember, we shut down the church. We were the first in the area to shut ourselves down because we said, listen, we have a social responsibility to do what's best for those around us, to allow ourselves to be harmed financially or relationally or whatever that is, to shut down because it will be best for the city. And so we did that. We shut down early on, and I believe right now we're at a season where we're being called to do the same thing. That while what we understand is a loss of life, unfortunately, because of COVID, is inevitable. A loss of life because of a lack of resources shouldn't be. And that's the struggle. That's where we're at, that this goal of flatten the curve really isn't to fight against the inevitable. Unfortunately, we live in this broken, fallen world where people are going to die because of COVID. But what we never want to happen is people to die because they have lack of beds, lack of ventilators, medicine, a lack of doctors and nurses who are fully awake because they're not working exhausting hours. We want to do our part. And so as a church, we're going to be doing 3 things. I want to let you know. As of this weekend, we're suspending all in-person services for the next 2 weeks. We're not going to hold services. We're not going to have anybody here. If you drive by on Sunday morning, this Sunday and next Sunday, there will be no one here. We will be, however, broadcasting Sunday at 9:15 on all of our social sites, Facebook, YouTube, and live.riverlakechurch.com, all on one time so that we can all come together as a church and worship and celebrate together. And we've got a special message that we're gonna be broadcasting. I want to talk to you about in a second. And the last thing is we're going to return to in-person services on November 15th. We're going to come back together. We're going to pick back up, and we're going to take it step by step. We're going to take it. Listen, we don't know what's going to happen. What we know is the next right step. The next right step is for us to do our part, to love our neighbors and to do the right thing. And for us, after discussing as a staff, as a team, with doctors and nurses and just all the best people that we can think of, we came to the conclusion that, you know what, if we can't prevent it, but if we can kind of slow it down, we can flatten it. If we can do what we can to get rid of it, that's what's in the best interest of us, our community, and those we love. And so, I don't know where you're at. I don't know what you're doing. I don't know how this hits you. What I know is this is a very volatile issue, and it seems to hit people in very big extremes, one way or the other. What I want to invite you to do is just join us, just weather the storm with us, and help us, because I believe with the COVID and with the election, this series that we're starting this Sunday is going to be incredibly helpful. That we're starting this series entitled, "And," a series about the election. I know, we spent a lot of time on that title, okay? What I'll tell you is we've spent more time on the series than the title. In fact, I've spent the last year, over a year, working on this message. I can't wait for you to hear it. I believe it has the power to help us navigate this very unique and challenging season when it feels like there's just winners and losers. The church, that God's people are called to live differently, and we can live differently. That we don't have to get sucked into the winners and losers. We don't have to get sucked into the anxiety and stress, that we can live differently. And I want to invite you to join us online, not here, for 2 weekends in a row, as we tackle the topic of the election and how do we do it. Now, as we wrap up this video, we talk about what's next. Again, I want to encourage you to do your part. I want to encourage you to, wherever you're at, whether it be get tested, whether it be stay home, whether it be, just kind of cancel something. I don't know what it is. I want to encourage you to do your part and help us do what's best for our community to flatten the curve. God bless. I hope to see you this Sunday, 9:15 a.m., Facebook, YouTube, live.riverlakechurch.com.